Hey, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, this is smoothing out a little easier for us all here today. Big thing is going to be watching for mainly this winter storm that's going to be diving in, especially here at the end of our week. Not great. Let me double check a couple of things here for you because I've got a few things I want to make sure I also mention more than just what is the main part that we're expecting to mix in along with this. So here's the thing. All right, so we're going to start off actually with a couple of things that I want to make sure we go over. So this is what we call in layman's terms, this is all the fronts: warm fronts, cold fronts. The purple lines are occluded fronts. So you can see the system obviously moving over top of us. This is at just around the 8 o'clock mark, 7, 8 o'clock mark there on Thursday evening. So we'll say after sunset on Thursday evening. You can see the green shows rainfall, the purple shaded area shows a wintry mix taking over, and the blue, light blue to then dark blue, goes from light to heavier snowfall. This shows you, of course, that we're starting to get then that mix taking over as we go into Thursday night. So that's the expected part. We'll see rain Thursday afternoon. It'll transition over into a wintry mix Thursday late night. We're talking like mainly after 10 o'clock or so for or for southeast Michigan rather. For the western part of the state, you're already snowfall by Thursday evening. So keep in mind, if you're trying to travel to the west side of the state or anywhere westward, you need to be on the road before we get to sunset on Thursday. That's a big key, okay? Because the road conditions on the west side of the state going down towards Chicago begin to deteriorate fairly quickly by 10 o'clock on Thursday evening. So you need to keep an eye out for that. Now, as we get a little further then into Friday morning, this shows basically sunrise on Friday morning. Heavy snow has taken hold completely. The low is basically what's called. You may have heard a couple of these words before. Either, and they sound wild. Okay, I will admit they sound a little intense at first, but they are actual real terms or weather terms that have been around for a while. You may have heard bomb cyclone or bombogenesis. Kind of cool sounding words, right? When it comes to that, it means the storm system is rapidly intensifying. And it gets a lot of its strength. You can see all those black lines that are starting to get tighter. For example, let's go back a little bit. See how they're all kind of wavy around that big red L that's over the Upper Peninsula. So see where the Upper Peninsula is and where that big red L is. See how the lines they're close together, but they're really wavy around it. Now let's go a little further here. See how they're starting to create that real tight bubble around it and then expands out from there where the red L is kind of over the thumb there. That's where we know that the cyclone is actually strengthening very rapidly. And when it does that, it has a chance to really kick out a lot of stronger wind, especially wind, and also the precipitation on the backside that you're seeing right there. So I want to really remind everybody that my biggest concern, while we're getting snow, absolutely, we're getting snowfall for southeast Michigan as well. My biggest concern isn't the snowfall amounts because it's much more manageable for southeast Michigan than, of course, it is for the west side of the state. It's the wind that goes along with it. So, first things first, finally, this morning, the Detroit National Weather Service office issued this, and it's the winter storm watches all of the mitten. We are all completely under this umbrella. Winter storm watches here, they go until Saturday morning or even Saturday evening, depending on where you are. So, these are going to change to the next level of criteria likely tomorrow. So winter storm watches are the first heads up that something really nasty is coming, along with kind of initial ideas, that kind of thing. And I'm going to read you a blurb here from them here in just a second because it's really important. Also, if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook, whichever one of these streams that you're watching on, if you don't mind sharing this out so that everybody has a chance to see that, I would greatly appreciate it. For those of you that are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, yes, we are also streaming on Twitch, trying to, get into that untapped news market because that's a thing. So Winter Storm Watch is here going all the way until the very start of the weekend. Okay, so now these will update into the winter storm warning is the most likely one that we would expect as a winter storm warning. There's the potential that we would reach blizzard conditions. Part of the reason that is something that is of concern is this. Biggest thing you have to know when it comes to when we say the word blizzard, what is a blizzard? It's not what you think it is. It's not the amount of snow. Nowhere in the criteria for a blizzard is there the amount of snow. What you need is snowfall. We got that. Even if it's just a couple inches, amount doesn't matter. You need snowfall. You need strong winds of 35 miles per hour, or gusts over that consistently for 3 hours or longer. And you also need then that visibility to be really quite low. We're talking a quarter of a mile or even less at times for an extended period of time. Now, these are the wind conditions that we expect from Friday afternoon, especially into the evening. That's the strongest moment for it, okay? This hasn't changed. This forecast, at least for the winds, has been pretty consistent for days now, which is interesting to say that the wind has been pretty consistent there. Wind gusts near or even over 50 miles per hour, definitely possible here when we get into that Friday afternoon, especially Friday evening time frame. The wind is a concern. That's our primary concern here, along with the fact that it's going to get rather cold very quickly. Lows down in the single digits, highs will be in the teens. We will drop into the teens rapidly Friday morning. So any wet pavement will have a chance to flash freeze on Friday morning. That makes travel awful. And then you start to add snow on top of it. The wind will be strong enough, you can't salt the roads because the salt immediately blows off. So there are so many factors here that we're trying to figure out, not just as meteorologists, but also like obviously the different crews that are planning, because this isn't just a you're getting snow, it's going to be cold. This is you're getting snow, it's going to be windy. That is going to allow for, unfortunately, a scattered outage chance. That is something I'm going to read from you here, the Weather Service Bulletin, in a moment. But also the fact that you mix in the wind blowing the salt off the road, so you can't clear it very well. The temperature plummets into the teens or single digits, so it doesn't work well anyway. There's a lot of moving parts. It's not just, is it going to snow? Is it not? I know the joke. We're going to get maybe 0 to 100 inches of snow. With this storm, no. Yes, the west side of the state is getting a ton of snowfall, but Southeast Michigan, while we get some snowfall, which I have numbers for you here in a moment, the big thing is it's going to continuously blow around. And you think about it, and it's like, it's not all that bad. You have to look at the big picture and all these things combined. And that's what makes this actually a fairly nasty storm. Now, here are some of the estimates for some of the winds at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, these are going to be variable. The ones where you see like Ann Arbor at 47 miles per hour. Just an hour before that, the models are suggesting 52. So the idea is there that we've got easily 45 to 55 within that average range mile per hour winds. That's what I want you to focus on here. That it's going to be a windy day. It's going to be windy for all of us, and it's on par of what we would normally see a high-end advisory or a high wind warning. That's the criteria that goes with it. But they're not going to issue something like that because we are going to have that winter storm basically going on. So it's all bundled together within this one system. Okay, so let's go on from here. I want number 6. Let's see. And I think I've already got that one. Good. So big thing with that as well is really going to be how long will all of that try and stick together? Okay, because this is the other part I want to show you. So when we forecast, we're trying to figure out what type of snow is going to occur. So we're going to start off basically with that snowfall, with that middle one, that 30 degree, that typical snow. We'll transition into that dry snow because we get so cold. Normally, that means the snow stacks up differently. Okay, normally. The issue, though, is that because of how windy it's going to be, that does not, unfortunately, it doesn't allow us to have that fluffier type of snow all at once, which is why I'm not buying the higher snowfall amounts. Yes, the west side of the state is getting hit. I'm not buying some of the big ones because quite literally the wind will take those bigger snowflakes, they slam together, they break apart. It's not that big snowflake anymore. It's all the smaller flakes. The bigger the snowflake's going to get, the wind actually will cause them to shatter. That's a big thing, and it comes down to the science of it. And it's not something that everybody, unfortunately, looks at along with it. So it is something we'll have to kind of really keep an eye on as we go a little further into it. Okay, so right here, Big thing. And then we're going to show you snowfall numbers. You need to make sure you have at least a couple things in your car if you're even going to try and travel going into Friday, which I would recommend right now. If you do not need to travel on Friday, don't travel Friday. Please don't travel Friday. Okay. If you are somebody that has followed me for a while, you know that I try and stay away from the sky is falling stuff. This is a serious enough storm. This is one we're concerned about. Not because of snowfall amounts alone, but because of the wind and the bitter cold potential that comes along with it. That is a concern. So the other part that I want to show you here as well is the potential for the snowfall amounts. And I've got that for you right here. All right. So this is kind of a new graphic we threw together. And it shows what the snowfall may look like after it has fallen. Okay, so you see the map with some of the contours there on the left-hand side. I'm going to actually try and make myself a little smaller there. There we go. All right, so it shows pretty good the heavier stuff off to the west. You can see west of Ann Arbor, going from Howell westward, northwest as well, where some of the heavier snowfall amounts are looking at. These are our initial forecasts as of now. I do expect to need to refine these a bit. But based on what we're looking at right now, I'd say this is a pretty fair bet about what we're looking at. Now you can see with the snowfall amounts, even with the lighter amounts, 3 to 6. I know. It's Michigan. We're going to look at that 3 to 6 and go 3 to 6. What are all these meteorologists talking about? Why are they all getting excited about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall? It's because of everything else with it. I cannot stress that enough. The wind will cause that 3 to 6 to be darn near impossible to measure, first off, because it's constantly blowing around. So you're going to have somebody, I guarantee you, I'm going to get reports of, I measured a 2-foot drift in my yard. We got 2 feet of snow. No, you didn't. You got a 2-foot drift. I only have 1 inch of snow in my yard. Where all the snow go? It all blew into your neighbor's yard. That's what's going to be happening with this. And then it's going to blow back, because the wind direction changes with this whole storm system from one day to the other. That's an issue there. We go a lot of easterly winds on going into Friday to suddenly westerly when we get into Saturday, and all the lake effect comes blowing across the state. That's the issue here. Now, this goes into Saturday morning, okay? Other concern with that. These amounts could go higher if you end up under lake effect snow bands on Saturday. That's a big key there. You could end up with some lake effect snow on Saturday that causes you to get another inch or two. Okay? That's an important note. Friday, just avoid travel if at all possible. Saturday, it's going to be tricky. They're going to be trying to clean up, but the wind is going to continue. It's going to be rough. If you don't need to travel Saturday, maybe don't. Or if you do need to, hold off until the afternoon on Saturday. Okay? So that's kind of the big thing there. But plan for more time. It's likely going to take more time. Now we get past that, and we get into Sunday, and it's cold, very cold, but at least that snowfall is done, and the wind is starting to subside at that point as well. So those are the big things that go along with that. I wanted to read you here something that came in from the Weather Service as well. This is, I want you to remind you something. Sometimes we hear the phrase, well, meteorologists on TV, you're doing it for ratings. They're doing it for clicks or anything like that. The National Weather Service doesn't have ratings. They don't care about the clicks or anything like that. I want to give you just a brief little blurb here that they put out this morning. This is the Detroit National Weather Service office. The Grand Rapids office has also done theirs. So is the Gaylord office up to the north. But the Southeast Michigan one that serves areas from Midland all the way down to Monroe, all of the Thumb, all the way over into like Lenawee, Western Washtenaw counties, almost through the Lansing area. That's the Detroit office. So this is what they're saying. All right. So the cold air that surges in, of course, leading to 50-mile-per-hour gusts or greater on Friday afternoon and Friday evening. So we already talked about that. I already mentioned that. Which may result in scattered power outages around the area. Okay. So there is that risk. Can't guarantee power outages because it's something that comes power line to power line. My hope is that we always end up with zero, but that risk is there because of the intensity of the winds, the prolonged amount of time that we have them, and the fact that winter storm is really ripping through at that time. Okay. The rapid changeover from rain to snow, though, like we talked about, is Thursday night into Friday morning, which means that not only do we flash freeze going into Friday morning, but we have that accumulating snowfall. Travel will become difficult or impossible ahead of the holiday weekend throughout the day on Friday, especially midday Friday through Saturday morning, due to the blowing and continuously drifting snow and whiteout conditions through Saturday morning. Okay. So that's the issue with travel there that we really keep watching for with this. And again, I know you look at the numbers and you go, that's 3 to 6 inches. Why do I care? That'll get plowed out of the way in a minute. It won't. It's going to be something that lasts longer because of the wind. I cannot stress it enough, and I'm going to say it for the 10th time. It's the wind and the snow combined that makes this nasty. Okay? It's not the most snow we've ever had. The west side of the state, yeah, they're looking at more than a foot. It's the west side of the state. They get that oomph. They always do. Okay? But that is something that goes along with that. Wind chill values, though, dropping to 5 to 15 degrees below zero through the day Friday and on Saturday. So we got 2 days where we're looking at that. All of this eventually decreases in the wake of the system, but it results in the potential delays to any power restoration if you lose power. So if you lose power, there's likely going to be a delay in how long it takes to get you back online because of the wind. It's dangerous for crews to go out there, and also just trying to get stuff back up because it could potentially come back down again. So of note there, then you need to make sure you have stuff to keep you warm in case power goes out. Remember, they're scattered, so not everybody's going to get power loss, which is great. I don't want that. My, again, preference would be zero. But I got to tell you what the risks are here, and they are very real this time around. And I know that it's obviously terrible timing going into the weekend. That's not great, especially since this is the holiday weekend. Friday is a massive travel day. If you are flying, check with your airlines now about any cancellation or rescheduling policies they may have. Know what you need to pay to do. It's time to look now. Because it's now Wednesday. If you have a plan B, it is now time to enact that plan B. Okay? If you're planning to drive on Friday, don't. Drive on Thursday or drive during the second half of the day Saturday. Please try to avoid at all costs driving on Friday. If you absolutely have to travel on Friday, you need to have that backup gear in your car in case anything happens. Not because it's snowy, but because it is brutally cold. That wind will drop wind chills again, 15 below zero, which again, I get it. I get it. We get temps that cold every winter. We do. But the issue is the continuous amount of time, the difficulty it would be to respond to incidents, all of that rolled into one. It's not just cold and snow and wind. It's you have to look at all the factors that go along with it. So again, if you have to travel if you have to on Friday, try not to, please. But if you have to, you need to make sure you at least have a couple of things to make sure that you're warm and that you're able to be safe in case you get stuck. Okay? And again, it's not the amount of snow, it's the fact that it can drift, and that if any incidents happen, for instance, it gets real icy, which is likely there going into Friday morning, that if you end up in a ditch, you at least are able to stay warm. Okay? So those are the big factors there. Once we're on the other side of this thing, of course, obviously things start to get a little better. And we'll have another update as well a little later on today here for you. So those snowfall numbers, those are initial as of this morning. We're going to go from there. Okay. But I'm not buying the big numbers for Southeast Michigan. Remember, okay. Southeast Michigan, I'm not buying it for there specifically because of how strong the wind will be. It literally shatters those snowflakes apart. So you don't get the constant big flakes. You break them down. So they'll stack up kind of at different levels compared to what you'd normally get if you got those real fluffy snowflakes. The west side of the state, though, yeah, when you get west of Lansing, so let's say Portland westward, Big Rapids westward, you're likely going to end up with more than a foot by the time it's all said and done going into Saturday. I think that's pretty easy to see. So we're going to keep an eye on things for you on the next weather team here at CBS News Detroit. Myself, Kylie Miller, Karen Carter, we're all going to be keeping an eye on things for you. We'll do another update later on today. I will be at 10 o'clock tonight on the CW here in Detroit. Also at 6 o'clock with our weather tracker. Well, I think it's like 5:58. We'll have an update there on CBS Detroit. We'll also have some updates as well later on tonight around 11 o'clock on CBS Detroit. I'll have some updates there. But of course, we'll post stuff here online as well. We already have a plan for how we're going to do some coverage and everything for you, especially on Friday. with some updates even every hour, along with a continuous update blog on our website, cbsdetroit.com, that I will be taking part in personally. So we're going to keep an eye on things there for you. But otherwise, that's all I had for you, at least for right now. I appreciate you watching, and I hope that you stay safe, stay warm, and I'll have some more updates for you later. I apologize again if I didn't get a chance to get to all your questions. There's a lot going on. I'm broadcasting actually from home right now. I'm going to get ready, head into work. We'll do some more there. Lots of moving parts. So hopefully you got some stuff there, and I will see all of you then a little later today. But otherwise, have a very safe end of our week, and I will see you in just a little while.